Askreddit, have you ever woke up in the middle of a dream and the dream was so interesting that you wanted to go back to sleep to see the end of it? If so, what was the dream? Deleted. I've had this same feeling. Like an actual emotionally strong developed bond just disappears very slowly as you wake up. Was exploring a jungle with a group of, I assume, friends. We ended up discovering some kind of temple, but it was dark so we decided to set up camp. I was charged with gathering drywood and leaves for the fire. While macheting my way through vines, I heard my name being screamed by one of the group members in a terrified way, repeatedly. Woke up to see my mom yelling my name and to get the frack up already. I never found out what that temple was. Edit. I have never watched any adventure movies like Indiana Jones or Jumanji, nor have I played any Uncharted game. This is going to sound crazy but I had a dream exactly like that and one of the people in the camp went missing. But it continued and we found out there were jaguars in the area. I used to have lucid dreams in my early to mid-20s. As soon as I'd realize I was asleep, I'd start flying or just rising to the ceiling because it was a cool way to test it. Then my immediate thought would be, who should I pretend sleep with, and the excitement over that possibility woke me up every damn time. A moment, for our fallen bro. I learned I could fly, but I had to teach myself. Woke up right as I was gearing up for the big test to see how high I could go. Forced myself back to sleep and lemme tell ya flying in a dream is way too fracking fun. Lol, I had a similar dream but it had its weird mechanics. Like I couldn't just run and fly, I had to run, jump and kick out like I was laying down to fly and I could control it by tilting myself forward or back lol. Anyways, I was showing my friends when they get angry cause they can't do it so they start throwing rocks at me so I start flying higher and higher to get away but I panic cause I'm scared of heights and then I wake up. Best and one of the worst dreams cause I'm scared of heights. In my head I think I fell and died cause I couldn't remember how to lower myself. I was friends with Jesus, in the modern day and he was sound. Not preachy. One of the lads like, did he by any chance tell you to kill the President of the United States by spinning really fast? When I wake up in the morning, I usually have approximately 30 more minutes before I have to actually get out of bed. If I'm having a dream before I wake up and I go back to sleep, I can usually continue the dream. Last night I had a dream that I was in some kind of resort, Jurassic Park-like area. I went back to sleep this morning and managed to get into a relationship with a pretty hot dude who was working at the resort. It's like Hollywood forgot to take down the set. A few months before I got married I had a dream where Bill Murray was attending my wedding and asked to make a toast. I happily agreed. Then, before I could hear the toast, I woke up. For some reason this reminded me of a dream I had in which I ran into Tom Hanks. I noticed that he was crying, so I went over to ask him if he was okay. He told me that he had lost a big project that he'd been working on. I told him I was going to write a letter to him to make him feel better, but I woke up before I could mail it. I have a story about when the opposite of this happened. It was a fracking epic fantasy dream, let me tell ya. Evil wizard of some sort that I'm pretty sure was my 8th grade math teacher kidnapped Princess, a worthless but snappy sidekick that was my best friend IRL. This dream had everything. So I beat the bad guy, rescued the princess and brought her back to a village of, I think Ewoks or something, I dunno. Big celebration, everybody went hooray and stuff and then, it didn't end. We just kinda stood there looking at each other. It felt like a long time. Ewoks just kinda start milling around and doing their everyday shit. Made some small talk with the princess. And then eventually the dream ended and I woke up. It was a strange one, edit 2 words. This was like the 4th strangest dream I've ever had. I had one where I was wandering through my hometown for what felt like hours, and eventually the dream became lucid. And the dream dragged on, and I was just walking around looking at stuff. Eventually I started thinking that I'm probably late for school, since the dream went on for so long, and I tried to figure out a way to get myself to wake up. I tried lying down on the ground and thought that people walking on me would probably do it. But it didn't. I didn't feel a thing. So I lied down in the middle of the road and a car hit me. And right before it hit me I woke up in the middle of the night. I once dreamt that all of my family and closest friends were on the world's largest cruise ship. Along the way, we somehow were exposed to radioactive waste that gave us all superpowers or other mutations. I remember so vividly being able to use my mind to move objects with ease, and I threw donuts at my brother, whose skin had turned as hard as stone. This one girl on the cruise that we all universally hated, for reasons I can't remember, received a really random and useless mutation. She grew a really fat lizard tail, like a leopard gecko who has eaten a lot. Lol. She was crying about how ugly she was now and all we could do was laugh. Then I woke up. I have so many questions. Lol. I dreamt that I was part of some Eastern European resistance movement who had to speak in code and hide out in abandoned manors in the forest to plan our attacks against some fascist regime. We enlisted the Pope to help us, but when we went to meet him he has double-crossed us because the regime we were fighting somehow knew the Pope was gay and was going to tell everyone. I woke up then, not knowing if my resistance group was executed, or if we escaped somehow. I call it my gay Pope dream. Bro, this is awesome. My dreams are just random shit like walking in a forest, you're out there fighting fascists with a homosexual Catholic. I had a nightmare a couple years back, and I still remember some bits. I was in a city where there was an outbreak of a disease. Infected people would start leaking black stuff from their eyes and noses and attack non-infected people. For some reason, I was walking in a part of the city that was completely deserted a couple days after the outbreak. Very faintly I heard someone crying. I approached and found out that it came from a backyard. If I wanted to see who it was, I had to climb a high fence. When I walked into the backyard I was fracking horrified. There was a crying little kid, like 3 years old on a leash, tied to a pole. I didn't dare to approach, because that child was leaking Valk stuff from the nose. I woke up after this, and was still horrified. The parents had to leave their child who was still alive, chained to a pole outside. That fracked me up for a couple of days. I would watch this movie. I died in one of my dreams so that was startling, but I was dead for a good 15 seconds or so in my dream so that was interesting to say the least. I die in my dreams all the time. I usually just end up in spectator mode. I think I've been playing too many video games. Most nights actually. I very rarely have nightmares and even those are very interesting. Life inside of my head is much more entertaining than reality. I somehow trained myself a long while ago to be able to wake myself up from a nightmare. Pretty great. Say I'm walking down a hallway in my dream and suddenly the end of the hallway goes dark and seems a bit ominous. I look at that and say nah, let's try again, so I wake up real quick and then go back to sleep. I had a nightmare about being a teenage girl with a group of friends on bikes hiding from and hunting down a shadow monster that killed dogs and we tracked it down to some abandoned house and tried to rescue the dogs but one of the dogs started barking and I had to try and calm it down before the monster came and got us and my friends screamed from another room but Then I woke up and I will never know if those dogs survived. Don't worry. They did. Hell if I know. All of my dreams fade away 20 seconds after I try to tell them to someone. The most I will ever remember is the feeling that the dream was awesome and that I want to go back. Never can. You should keep a dream journal next to you so that when you wake, immediately start writing what you remember in it. Train your brain to start learning to remember those details. I don't remember sad face. You can really spin a yarn, Karen, let me tell you. My son is in the Air Force and has been stationed overseas the whole 3.5 years he's been in. He's in for 6 years instead of 4. So, anytime I dream about him, I want to go back to sleep to see him a little longer. May your son be safe in his ventures. I was eating the most delicious chicken nuggets ever. Our tendies. My ex and I got back together and she told me she's pregnant. I felt happy and fulfilled like never before. After I woke up the entire day was so ruined I didn't even know how to deal with it. Just wanted to dream for the rest of my life. Opening parenthesis. I have a crush of 3 years, who rejected me, yet I dreamt about being with her as couples. I know this will never happen in real life, so when I woke up, I forced myself to sleep again. Unfortunately that was the last of its sad face. I feel your pain dude. I still like a girl who feels no romantic attraction at all. The worst part is never getting a chance to see if it would work out. Hope you moved on better than I am RN. I still can't give up. It was a dream where there were no debts, no stress, no pressure, no boss, no monotonous job, no homework. Oh, you wanted details? I have no idea. I just remember the weightlessness of being stress-free, and being in a hardware store. I know the feeling lol. I always end up at Kmart for no apparent reason. I had one this morning. I'm a heavy sleeper, and whatever goes around me tends to get in my dreams. It's a curse at times, but this morning I had an Amber Alert at 3:30 a.m., and my dream went from being okay to my friends getting incinerated by a nuke. I was the only one that survived, but by the time I was about to leave the bunker to see the devastation, I woke up turning off the alert. It can take me a solid couple minutes of ringing to wake up to my alarms because my brain does exactly that. The alarm is a phone ringing that someone answers, or just anything. Can't think of many examples RN, but my brain manages to morph alarms and outside sounds into my dreams. My girlfriend hates it though, she wakes up to the alarms before I do. Okay, so me and a bunch of people started a band called Opalescent, which was an 8-person a cappella band that sung about global warming and multi-level marketing and politics. There were 3 boys and 4 girls. There were memories and everything, it felt surreal, and when I woke up I was upset as hell. I am not Pan, I am talking about the other people, 3 boys, 4 girls and me. An 8-person band with 3 boys and 4 girls. Right, so I in the dream got in a huge fight with these girls, who aren't my friends anymore IRL. It was late at night and outside the school, and one of them, who I just met and was super mean to me IRL, ran off crying after I told her to stop being such a bitch and to go F herself. I'm feisty but only if you mess with me first. I then go home and see on the news that she wasn't home and is missing. Because she's popular, everyone is looking for her. Word gets out that I was last to see her and everyone hates me. I get death threats and shit. I then wake up IRL. I wanted to see how it would end, so I went back to sleep. I also go looking for her, but no one finds her. Weeks later, police say that I'm not in any trouble since there's evidence that I didn't kill her or anything. Everyone at school though wants me dead. A week later, when I just can't take it, Shane Dawson, yeah, hi, welcome to my weird but at the same time not weird dreams, is like, I'm doing a documentary on you. We then do an interview and I tell him my side and how much everyone hates me. A week later I kill myself in the dream, and Shane Dawson puts out the documentary the next day showing that I truly was innocent. Crazy frickin' dream, man. Damn, the new Riverdale season sounds even shittier. I had one about time travel, but I had to look and be genetically different and I went back time, but I woke up in the middle of night when it started. I read this as you went back in time to when you were dreaming. Which would be a really wild mindfrack. The end of the world on a beach. I was getting ice cream for my family, when suddenly the sun went purple, started spinning and fell behind the horizon. All the sky followed, replaced by darkness. Gravity broke, we went down and couldn't move anymore. All the world around us started to flatten inexorably, slowly drifting towards the dark rift at the end. A voice started to call different names and people got sucked into the night. Suddenly it was my turn. I glided to the edge freaking out, and as I fell over the horizon, I realized I didn't have a body anymore. I was just a gaze traveling in space. It lasted a very long time. We passed all the beautiful planets and slowly left the solar system. Then we traveled across the galaxy and left it too. Somewhere far ahead, in the total darkness, faint lights started to appear. Stars and constellations I never saw before. I knew at this moment that they were waiting for us, and even if it takes forever, we will reach them. And once we do, all our questions will be answered. Finally we'll know what's out there and why we exist. We were getting closer and closer. Almost there, I could feel it won't be so long. And then my brain chose to wake up. I desperately thought, no, not now, just a moment more, but it was too late, the dream was gone. I was so pissed. Sometimes I think my own brain laughs at me. I dreamt my dad was still alive. Sorry homie, I've had that one too. Sucks hard when you wake up sad face. Playing bumper cars with Voldemort surrounded by Laffy Taffy. I wish I was kidding. Had a recurring dream as a kid that everything in the works was made of this like edible Nerf type material. You know those old circus peanut candies? Kinda tasted like that but in lots of different flavors that corresponded to its color. So light yellow was banana but bright yellow was lemon, like that. And it constantly regenerated so you could just pick at anything and snack on it. I distinctly remember one where I was at the playground on the swings but breaking off pieces of the swing next to me to eat. It was never the same dream, they were all different but it was always in the delicious edible Nerf world. I miss that dream. My situation was a bit different. I was once having a pretty vivid nightmare about a zombie apocalypse. In the dream, I was running from a horde and I ducked into a random house. Time then passed, in the dream, and I put my head down to rest while I listened to growls coming from outside. At that exact second I woke up. I was relieved that it was just a dream because it seemed so real. However, about 10 minutes later I fell back to sleep and the dream actually resumed. I remember oh my god, this isn't a dream, within the dream. The rest was even more vivid and terrifying because I was convinced it was real. That was a pretty tough night, but it was interesting how my dream managed to resume itself, and it did it in such a way that I was convinced the incident was actually happening. My small 10-minute wake-up period seemed like the dream. Apparently that's a thing called continuing dreams, or something like that. It happened to me quite a few times. I'd wake up and go back to either the same dream or a dream that kind of tried to be the same but something minor was different. It really weirded me out every time. I awoke in a white bed, in a White House, plantation house, Pantheon-type building. I do not understand how all three buildings could coexist as one, but my head made it so. I got out of bed, and noticed I was wearing a red flannel, blue jeans, and had short hair. And I walked outside. Alls I could see was fog, a few pine trees. There was a slight breeze in the air. Air grazed by my face gently and coolly, sending goosebumps down my arms. Then I noticed, I was standing on a moon pool. I looked down at it, the stars and moon shined down in such a pale blue haze. I looked up, and noticed a slender figure at the edge of the fog and I watched as it know her get closer. I began to make her out with more and more detail. She had long black silky hair that swayed gently with the breeze. A few more feet I noticed she was wearing a white dress, and then when the lack of fog revealed her true form, did I notice her pale skin. She had a oval, and very beautiful face and we stared each other in the eyes. Then she says to me, "It's time to go," in a soft but commanding way. I tell her, "No, not yet," in a stern, but unhostile tone. We just exchange glances at each other for well over a few moments. Her eyes scream, "You're going to regret this," but I hold to my decision. Just then I notice a little demon dog thing by her side. And then I wake up, in a cold sweat, in the middle of the night, as 9-year-old me. I had dreamt I was much older than I actually was. I wanted to go back so bad and figure out what it all meant. Where did she want to take me? Why had I stepped into that body? Till this day this dream lays in my head vivid as the night it happened. Years ago when Valve released the Orange Box I was a big TF2 lover, played the crap out of it. One day I obviously played too much as I dreamt being Pyro and being I'm the game, just literally setting everything and everyone on fire. When I woke up I was actually pumped up with adrenaline. Oh how I long for that dream again. That reminds me of a TF2 related dream I had. I don't remember too much about it, but basically I was with some friends and we heard that there was a spy in our area, and we all got super paranoid and rebelled against each other. Cheap, almost instant travel to different worlds with a portal ride that was like the Willy Winks boat ride but not as scary lol. I remember the moon was almost entirely populated with vampires. Can't remember much else, but I went to a lot of places and woke up feeling confused and cheated. Willy Winks and the Oompa Loompies. Please subscribe. Multiple videos uploaded daily.